So welcome back to another episode of Conversations Over Coffee, and today I've got a special guest and we just thought we'd have a bit of a conversation together around something a little different. So this is my mate Simon Warrick, and Simon's the CEO of Empart Asia Pacific. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Simon, and a little bit about your role.
Yeah, sure. So, my background is in first corporate and then pastoral work. I left that and ended up going into this role, which is quite unique.
Yeah.
We get the opportunity to work in South Asia, and it's all about community transformation.
Fantastic. Excellent. So how long have you been in the role?
This is my fourth year.
Fourth year.
How quickly does time go?
Fantastic. And obviously COVID would have impacted on what you've been doing over the last 12 months.
It definitely impacted my capacity to travel.
Yeah.
Normally I'd be around, different parts of the world. I would be around Australia a few times. And this year I got to travel from the bedroom to the kitchen, to the living room, to the front room, back to it was very, very different.
Yeah. A lot of people can understand where you're coming from, mate. Big time.
I'm from Victoria, man. So it was ultra, lockdown.
Oh, I hear you. No, challenging times. Hey, listen, we were talking this morning about this concept you've got about 100,000.
Yeah.
And is it being the 100,000? Do you want to? Because I loved what you were saying and how it impacts for us personally, not just in terms of what you're doing, but in our day-to-day lives.
For sure.
Share a bit about that concept.
Absolutely. Well, it started with our founder, Jossie Chaco, and he had this vision to see 100,000 communities transformed by 2030.
Wow.
That was a 30-year goal. We're 22 years or so into it now, and we're well on our way to achieving that. But some of the things that we've been considering locally is, what does that mean for us back home? This vision is massive. Like 100,000 communities transformed, that's a vision that requires God to be involved.
Yeah, it's not something you can just go out one day and go, well, I got that nailed. What's next?
No, it's not. But for us, we kind of thought, what does it mean for home? Because we're just as passionate about seeing leaders and people back in our own environments transformed by the inspiration of the work that we do.
Great.
So for us, we kind of flipped it on its head a little bit, and we've started asking our partners and people in our world, what's your 100,000?
Oh, wow.
Now, it could be specifically 100,000 something. I remember one of our partners who runs a media company, he's talking about the idea of 100,000 hours of work to serve the kingdom. Through his business. That's their thing. And again, for him, he did the maths on that and worked out how many staff he'd have to have and all sorts of stuff. In fact, he was one of the ones who kind of helped us with this idea. But we ask our partners, and we ask those that we come into contact with, what's your 100,000? What's the thing that God is calling you to do that is far bigger than what you could do in your own strength?
Wow.
It's got to be something that we couldn't work out in our own way. We couldn't strategize towards. We can strategize in that direction, but to get there, you need God to intervene.
I love the idea, because 100,000 is such a huge number.
Yeah.
So you're talking about courageous faith. You're talking about, without God, whatever it is that I'm going to be planning for, I couldn't do it without Him. So it's that idea of, we're all called as Christians to live by courageous faith, and you've set this incredible number to create in someone an environment or an understanding or a thought process that says, I need to trust, I need to seek God for what that might be, and I need to trust God with what's to come.
Absolutely. It's about saying, this thing is bigger than myself.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to pursue it and go after it, at no point in time can I stop and say, this was about me.
Yeah.
This is about me having the opportunity to partner with God in something that He's given me the vision of, and I get the privilege of walking out with Him.
Wow. So have you seen that concept being outworked in your workplace in terms of Empart? And I know you've got to be very careful about what you can and can't say, but I'd love for people who are connected in with Conversations Over Coffee to hear a little bit about what that looks like in the mission field.
Yeah, well, for us in the field right now, we've got around 10,000 workers. We've reached around 38,000 communities and touched around 1.9 million lives.
Wow.
So, we are well on the way to seeing that goal, and we're in the fun time. Like, this is the last 10 years of this vision. It doesn't stop there, by the way. No. This is where the vision kind of launches off to the next generation. But we're in the final 10 years, so it's really ramping up. It's the most exciting time with what we get to see in the field.
That's great. Fantastic. So the idea then for people who might be watching this and thinking, I want to live by courageous faith. I want this whole idea of 100,000, the living beyond myself. Where does someone start? Because if you start with the 100,000 number, you can get lost. What does that mean for me? Where would you recommend somebody starts to step out and live more with this courageous faith idea?
I think start by looking at people who are doing it.
Right.
If you can look at others and be inspired by their story, be inspired by their journey, you kind of, for those who are in leadership, or are visionary minded or are faith based, you start to see these stories and you go, what if? What if God could use me in a way similar to that? And when you start to read those stories, I believe the Holy Spirit starts to bubble in you and starts to birth something that's beyond yourself.
Wow.
And so that would be where I'd encourage you to start. Start by reading the stories of those who have come before us, who have had courageous faith and are willing to put it all on the line for the sake of seeing what the Lord wants.
I love it. You know, we all love stories, don't we? We all love hearing stories of how people are stepping out for the kingdom. And we get inspired by that. I mean, when you were sharing last night about this whole idea of 100,000, I got inspired. I'm thinking, what could be my 100,000? What's the thing for the rest of this year that I can live by courageous faith for and trust God in? So I wonder what that is for you. I mean, what I think the important things about these conversations is it's not just a theory or an idea, but I guess to continue the conversation, I would love for you to be thinking about what could your 100,000 be? What could the courageous faith moment, the goal that you're going to set yourself, what might that look like for you? And I'd love to continue that conversation. I know we can keep Simon involved as well. He's sort of travelling around Australia a little bit at the moment, but I know you'd really love to hear what people are thinking and
absolutely
some of their goals.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the things we were talking about before is the idea of reading someone's story or hearing their story and being inspired by them. We want to partner with you in that and serve you in some way. So what we're actually willing to do is we've got our founder, Jossie Chaco's book, Madness. This talks about how it all started and talks about the first few years of the work that we're doing. We want to make that available to your viewers for free.
Oh, that's awesome, mate.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So really, if somebody would like a copy of this book, Jossie Chaco's book, all you need to do is our YouTube channel in the comments section. If you just put, I'd love a copy of the book, and make comment, we'll respond to you and we'll find a way of getting your details and getting you a copy of this book no matter where you are. That's really, I really appreciate your generosity with that. That's fantastic.
No
and I know you talked about stories that inspire. I know that Jossie's story is inspirational, and I know many of you will read this and want to go, okay, what does that mean for me in my day-to-day life today? So, mate, thank you. That's awesome. Hey, thanks for joining us on Conversations Over Coffee. We want to continue this conversation. We want to continue to challenge you to be a person living with this courageous faith. So have a great week. Enjoy stepping out in faith for Jesus. And Simon, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man.